So I'm Olly Whitham. I'm from Clitheroe, which is pretty much Manchester in England. I play soccer here at Bloomsburg, or I just finished up my last season. And I'm currently working towards my Masters in Exercise Science, and I'm also the GA in the weight room for athletes. I played soccer and rugby previously, so I think soccer was on Saturday and rugby was on Sunday. Then they both moved to Saturday, I think. And I'd always preferred soccer, but a lot of my friends preferred rugby because it was a big rugby area. So I, stupidly I guess in hindsight, decided to play rugby because all my friends were doing it. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, so I played it for a year, but then I was just like this isn't, I don't want to do this because rugby's pretty much like football, everyone's growing at that point, and there were some huge guys and I was still I don't know, average for my age, and getting smashed by them every weekend just wasn't what I wanted to be doing. So after that year, then I went on to play soccer again, and then that's when I really started to love it even more, and also realize I was kind of good at it, so I wanted to pursue it as far as I could. And that was middle school and then into high school, and it carried on like that. I played for local teams in my area, then I played for a semi-pro team in my area, and then I played a club in, they're a professional club at Burnley. I played with them for a little bit, and then that was kind of when I realised I wanted to play football, but I also didn't want to gamble my whole future on it because I didn't think I was that good, which I don't think I am either now, which is a good decision. So that was when I started considering what to do in terms of the US, because I realised I could study and still play at a pretty good level. So.
My name is Danny Whelan, and I was the head men's soccer coach at Bloomsburg from January 2018 till about January of 2020. So I'd came up, I'd been I don't know, a little bit backstory. I'd been at Bloomsburg as a GA coach back 10 years ago. 2012. And I went down to Florida for a couple of years, coached on the women's side there at a school in Miami, but was very kind of opened up my eyes to kind of more, and even being an international myself, but recruiting internationally and bringing in players, and we had a lot of success. And when I came back to Bloomsburg, part of the reason I came back was I knew the challenges we faced recruiting, and I was trying to figure out of different ways that we could compete. So Olly in particular, I actually knew the program he was at, which was Quincy in Illinois, Division II school. I had a former teammate and good friend of mine was the assistant coach there years ago. I didn't coach with Olly as a player, but I'd actually been out there before. I knew the standard of that program. I knew that if Olly was recruited there, which he was, and I think he also mentioned he had some interest previously from either Lander or Young Harris, who are two big programs down in the Southern Athletic Conference, but they're typically strong Division II men's soccer programs alongside Quincy. So straight away, that was a kind of a point for me that, okay, here's a player that perhaps would have an interest in Bloomsburg based on our initial conversation. I saw some game footage of him playing for Quincy in a couple of games. And again, knowing the standard and knowing the program, I kind of was able to watch that footage and think, right, he'd be a good fit for what we're looking for.
So I never wanted to go to I never wanted to go to university because I didn't want to study, but I knew it was a realistic option and something I should probably do, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a career. I just knew I loved football or soccer, and that was it. So I never really wanted to go to university, and I thought about just playing a good level in England, semi-pro, and then my dad owns a textile company, so he was saying, well, you've always got a job here, and then you can. He wanted to retire, so he wanted me to take over, and I was like, oh. So I thought about that for a long time, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll do that. But then it was towards my last year of high school, I was just thinking about it. I was I don't want to wake up and do something I don't have any interest in whatsoever, just because it's easy to do. So that was when I really started pursuing the scholarship route in the US, and I reached out to a few companies and stuff, and they helped me. I sent them all my footage and stuff like that, and then that was when it really kicked into the recruitment mode, I guess, and I ended up here eventually. So there's a few different ways, but the way I did it was I went through an agency that basically they have like a team in England where it's like if you're going through the agency, you all come together and play against other like good like high level teams, and then all those games will be filmed, and like it's a huge network like with the college coaches here, so like they'll instantly get like the footage and stuff like that, and then the recruitment agency will promote you as a player, and that's the way they went for me. But also some people just cold email hundreds and hundreds of coaches, like every coach in the nation, just hope and see what they get back, which can be, I mean, good, but it's a lot more work than going through an agency like I did. My main options were like a lot of good D2s, and then it was honestly through speaking to the coaches, how I felt from them, like even the agency, like what they thought about it or if they knew, and then obviously I discussed with my parents, but they were always like, it's whatever you want to do, it's up to you. And at the end of the day I picked, because I transferred to Bloomsburg, so originally I picked Quincy, which is in Illinois, near Chicago. I liked the coach a lot. They reached the Final Four the year before, so I was like, sweet, great program. And I spoke to a couple of their players, and a couple of them are English as well, so that kind of made me feel more welcome, I guess, or comfortable. And then ended up going there. It was just kind of, things kind of got stale there, like it was, because it was such a small school and there was like nothing to do. I felt like it was just doing the same thing every day, and I was here for my soccer, but I wanted to experience different things as well and like meet new people. No offense to the people there, it was just like it was the same every single day. Like I saw the same 30 people and that's it, like no one else really. I picked Bloom because it was a good, like 10,000 students, the facilities are nice, and then the coach a lot for me was a big reason. Like he's not here now, but Danny Whelan, he was Scottish, so I don't know, I got on with him that way. I thought he was funny and he seemed really interested in me, and he knew a lot about me, which I was like surprised because I'd never obviously spoke to him before. So yeah, those are the main points really. When I came to the US in general, I didn't know what, I just assumed in my head, I was like, no, it's just soccer, it's just football, like how hard can it be? But here the game is like completely different. It's all about like athleticism, physicality, winning like battles, whereas in England and I think most European countries, like there's a bit of that, but it's about like passing the ball, a lot more technical, I guess. So like there's nothing wrong with that, it was just difficult to adapt to, which I struggled with at first as like a freshman and a sophomore. Like I just didn't understand like why we were just kicking it long and then like winning headers and stuff. I was like, why don't we just pass? But then I realized if I wanted to do well, I had to do what everyone else was doing here, or else I wasn't going to fit in. So I wasn't expecting that, but honestly it was like, these made me a more rounded player. Even if sometimes it's not the most enjoyable when the ball's just constantly flying over your head in the midfield and you're just running forwards and backwards without actually kicking it.
Yeah, perhaps I think that was maybe one of the struggles at Quincy when he went there first. It was a little bit of a different style. But I think, yeah, thankfully when he came to Bloomsburg, I think he played every game for me his first year here, and he's played pretty much most games he's been fit and available for in his time here, because yeah, the style was probably a bit more similar to what he's used to growing up back home.
At first, I remember my first week of pre-season, like I found it like really tough, like being away from my parents, and they flew out with me as well, so I'd only not seen them for like 3 days, and it was just kind of all overwhelming, honestly. But after that, a lot was like down to the friends I made on the team.
So my name's Mackenzie Fairs. I'm originally from England, but I've been living in the Hershey area for the past 8 years. Got to know Olly because of the soccer team. Olly wasn't the first one I talked to. It was actually another one of the English guys that was on the team. But I started talking to Olly. Just all the English guys made sure that you introduced yourself to them. So just started talking to him, and ever since then we became pretty good friends. He keeps me grounded. He's pretty good at that. Me and him think really similarly, so able to bounce off of each other, and he helped me do a lot of growing up as well. Like maybe when things aren't going as well, he's very level-headed. He's always just kind of cruising, so he was helped me stay consistent.
Just being together with them helped a lot, but as a whole, like over the 4 or 5 years, whatever I've been here, it's made me grow a lot as a person. And now, like, I'm like independent. Like, obviously, I still miss my parents a lot and my friends at home, but like, it is what it is. Like, you've got to get on with life. Like, now I do pretty much everything for myself. So I think it really made me grow up. It made me grow up. Like, that's the thing. Like, I didn't have a choice. I think it set me up well for the future. Like now, like we were talking about before, like I'm ready to get a job and like live on my own and get on with my life. So it definitely helped in that way.